can't go out the way that you can with MySpace and just go to, I mean, the way that I started my MySpace was going out, finding people in Richmond and sitting down and be my friend, and it's automatically reciprocal, and you don't have that, you can't do that with Facebook in the same way. It's not as user-friendly, I think, in that sense.
You can't do direct courtship, like on
you can't do direct courtship, that would be a good way to put it.
Request and on Facebook they kind of have, you can suggest that your friends become fans of it.
But you can do it on Twitter.
But you can suggest that your friends become, but you can't go suggest to people who you're not already friends with, is what I'm saying. And that's something that you can do on MySpace that you can do on Twitter. And on Twitter, yeah.
As close on Facebook you can do is send an email to all of your friends and ask them to click the share button.
That's what I'm saying, is you can ask your friends to help promote your site. But that's the most that you can do in terms of gaining a new audience that you don't already have, that you're not friends with. That's what I'm saying about it being an extension of your personal identity.
Anything that you would change about any individual networks?
I mean, they're also flexible. Like, you know, there's so many tools out there that, I mean, there's always one for something at this point. Your problem sounds like something that definitely needs to be addressed about everybody.
Oh, a million invites and same thing.
That out. But I don't think so. I think that there's enough out there for everybody that you can tailor it and find what you need in order to reach your audience.
Back to the first part of the question, are there any aspects of social media networks that you found to be frivolous or waste of time?
Well, MySpace for us.
For you, MySpace stuff.
Yeah, we're just not going there. It was the weakest link of our campaign that we did for our last client, and so it's got a presence. We have a presence there, but we never doesn't generate anything. And even when I go into MySpace and I look around and they claim to be filmed, it's so outdated, it's so old. There's nothing new in there at all. Everybody's using Facebook.
Cool.
I don't know if there's necessarily anything I would change. Like Amy's saying, there's so many out there. I think it's a matter of, instead of trying to be a part of as many as you can, and then kind of catering to the ones that people are, or the fans or people that are interested in what you're doing are going to. So just being available to as many as you can, and focusing on those. Can't really think of anything I would specifically change.
Are there any that you found to be a waste of time?
No, I mean, again, I think a lot of them do kind of the same thing, but some have specific things they do. So just a matter of trying to be on as many as you can, and then catering to the ones that are seem to be reacting for you.
Well, we've been talking about MySpace a lot for the last two questions. And I'm assuming most people here probably aren't big fans of MySpace. But it is indispensable for unsigned and independent touring bands. I can't think of any site that has that many users where you can post music, people can search and find, you can link with other bands, you can link with venues, you can publish your touring schedule. And if anyone here knows of a better resource for an independent or unsigned band, I'd love to hear about it.
I think that, like you're saying, MySpace is definitely still important. Not really so much as social media. I mean, not that many people reach out. Not as many people comment on MySpace as they do on Facebook or try to connect that way. I feel like for bands, it's more of like a calling card or kind of like an electronic press kit where everyone knows that if they hear about some band and they want to hear what they sound like or see a video or whatever, they can go to MySpace, and every band in the freaking world has a MySpace page. So I feel like in terms of that, it's there to stay for a little while, basically until the next thing comes along that people don't have to go to MySpace to find that. And one thing that I've been seeing that's kind of maybe be the next thing to replace it is some bigger bands. If you just type in Google their name, basically, it'll maybe the first or second thing will come up. You can stream their music right there from Google. So I guess that's the biggest thing that MySpace offers, is being able to stream music from artists. But I think Google may be kind of the next thing for that. And then, yeah, like you're saying, MySpace as a social media site is definitely falling behind.
Well, Leslie handles a lot of music through Uptown and Cork, which is her other company, and MySpace gets 55 million page views a day, and they're just starting to, they just got I-mean, and they just started doing Glee karaoke. So, so I think that they're trying to keep up, and they're doing some stuff with Shakira and opening up a dual channel to Twitter recently, among other things. So if they would just kind of redo their UI and revive their brand, they will be able to keep up, especially if they keep buying other sites. But you know, there's obviously the word of mouth network sites like Twitter and Blip, Pandora, Groove Shark, Last FM, and iLink are also out there.
Justin.
I would say, I actually had done some research into this, completely unrelated to this panel, but a while back I had some interns who were helping me for the past few months, and one thing I had them do was go out with a number of surveys and collect some data, and they did it around the VCU campus. We also did it during a lot of concerts. It was definitely geared towards a 14 to 24-year-old audience, but two questions that were pertinent that I asked on the 5 or 6 question questionnaire was, how do you find out about concerts? And then the next question was, how do you find out about concerts online? What are 1 or 2 or 3 ways? And the overwhelming answer for how do you find out about concerts was MySpace. About 20% of people said flyers, which was pretty small, although it's still pretty substantial, 20%. But I mean, almost everybody said MySpace. And then, of course, on the next question, how do you find out about concerts online? Almost everyone. I mean, there were several other answers too, but MySpace was, I'd say, I'm estimating that at least 70%, if not more.
But
So
would they go to the artist's MySpace page and just see their list of where they're touring?
that's what they're doing, yeah. And I guess also seeing postings and updates, you know, like the type of stuff that I write. But I think what they're referring to is, yeah, I like this artist, I listen to their stuff on MySpace, and I look at their routing, their tour that they're doing there. So, I mean, as much as I'm definitely one of those people that is always saying MySpace is over, but that's where younger people still are using it, and that's where they're looking to find out about, you know, newly released recordings, music that's coming out that maybe hasn't been released to the public yet, and then also, you know, for tour dates, I think.
Do you see that role continuing? Do you think that there's any competitor out there that might be able to take MySpace over for that as that tool for musicians?
I don't know of a competitor right now that I think will take over, but I do think that someone will take over because technologically MySpace is so outdated and it doesn't work well anymore. For a long time, the music player wasn't working right in Safari, which was a big problem for Mac users. And also, though, I mean, the email doesn't work very well and the pages freeze a lot. And so I think it's really behind the times in that sense. So I do think that something else will take over. I don't know of what that site is right now, though.
Amy, do you think MySpace is going to continue to dominate the music?
Like I said, it depends who they acquire, I think. And if they change, like she's saying, they do some programming and they do some user interface work. Because it's, hello? For me! We'll see. If they better, they're just going to lose market share very fast.
Joel, do you think they're going to stay on top? You mentioned that Google has streaming available. They still don't, Google still you can't link to the bands that you're touring with, link with the venues, streaming you can't publish a tour schedule and things like that.
Yes. Well, I think that I kind of hope actually that maybe a lot of bands and a lot of people will start actually going to the actual artist's website. Because like I was saying, we're kind of making a new website, and I mean, for a while it was all about, okay, you have your MySpace, you have your Facebook, and so people can go and stream music and do stuff there. And we had a site that was like artistic and didn't have a lot of substance and an artistic statement and stuff like that, and like full of flash and everything. And I think a lot of bands and when we are kind of moving towards a more simplistic site that you can search, you can look at on an iPhone. You can look on any platform, and kind of like I was saying, like a one-stop shop where like you can see my Twitter feed, you can see the tour dates, you can purchase merchandise, you can see my blog, so that kind of try to train people to, instead of going to someone else's site to find out about Key Theory or whoever your band is, come to your site.